Thank you very much, friends. Kindly keep your microphones muted during the session. And also, in case if you want to share your PPTs, you will be able to share directly your screen. Over to you, Mr. Arun. Good morning and welcome.
वक्रतुंड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। वक्रतुंड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा।
So you are mute, sir. Arunji, you are mute.
Intention drives energy. Let us create the intention within us to attain the highest level possible of our expertise, and may Lord Ganesha remove all our obstacles. And as I start routinely, I remind the participants of what Lord Krishna had told Arjuna. That man is unable to attain his highest possible level of expertise only because he gets waylaid by those clear paths to a lesser expertise. Let us not make that mistake, and let's move on and intend to achieve the best that we can attain in our life. Today we are going to start with the first stage of the design thinking, which is empathize stage, which consists of two things: understand through observation, which is what ethnography is all about. Ethnography is a part of anthropology. In 1840, anthropology as a subject was taken up in Europe and the US. And in 1914, Malinowski came with this word called ethnography when he did observe the people in the Torbigan Island. Since then, ethnography has come a long way. And with the introduction of design thinking into this world somewhere in the very early 21st century, ethnography has become the in thing. It is used to study anything and everything to do with human beings. Let us briefly see what ethnography is through this video. Ethnography is not what you do from the confines of your comfort. Ethnography is getting into the place where your customer is and knowing them in their natural environment. Everyone other than you in design thinking is called your customer. So, what is it about the customer we need to know? The first thing is, who are they? What is their age? What is their marital status and occupation? What is their interest? If they are a company, what kind of business and what size? What do they do? What do they do at work? What did they study? What do they do during their free time? What is their usual routine and operations? What are their stated and unstated objectives? Why they buy? Find out customers, why they buy a product service. What is the reason? What is it that they are trying to fulfill through your product? What job are they trying to get done with your product? How they buy? What is their preferred mode of buying? Find out how customers go through the various channels to purchase something. Do they buy online? Do they prefer to buy online? Would they like to go get a feel of the product, touch it, and then buy it? Do they want a face-to-face meeting and convincing? Do they want you to help them handle their product? How do they buy? What makes them feel good about buying? Why are they feeling good about buying your product? What is their stated reason and what is the unstated reason they are buying your product? What they expect of you? What is their expectation? Find out what delights them or pains them with your product. Finally, what do they think about you? Find out what is your impression in their mind. If a customer enjoys dealing with you, they are likely to buy more. The question is, why are these things important? Today, people are continuously talking about big data analysis. You must be wondering, in this modern age, when technology has improved so much, what is Arun Subramanian talking about, and what is this design thinking which says, I have to leave the comfort of my air-conditioned chamber and the latest technology to churn out data and create information and insights? Why is he asking me to go out into the field and do all this research? The reason, my dear friends, is what is called adaptive opportunism, or what comes out of it, that is adaptive learning. Design thinkers are very emotional. They know that a man, this animal called man, is driven by emotion and not logic. Man does everything on an emotion and then justifies it with reason and logic. Design thinkers don't seek answers to analytics. So they are not susceptible to the inherent weaknesses called rational calculators. Man being irrational, there is nothing rational about the information which surrounds him. And people oftentimes make the mistake of being driven by data. The second most important point is, when you are dealing with an emotional being, don't go for hearsay. Go for first-hand information. They rely on direct observation of behavior which yields insights that are more valid. Depend only upon what you see, what you hear. And always remember to dig further, because you should never believe what you hear and only half of what you see. As long as you are willing to doubt everything that you hear and only take half of what you see and dig, you will leave the world of explicit messaging and get into the world of implicit realities and get to the real needs of your customer. People say many things which they don't mean. And what they really mean is hidden deep inside. So you will have to dig down. That is what ethnography is all about. The third is visualization. This is very important. If you can't visualize something, you cannot manifest it. It's as simple as that. All the scriptures and all cognitive science has said that everything happens twice in this world. One on the firmament of your mind, then on the firmament of your consciousness. When I say mind, I mean the subconscious mind. It has to happen there first before it happens in reality. In fact, they say you die twice, once in your mind, and then it happens in reality. Visualization relies heavily on, the ability to converge all the information that you have in your subconscious into one focal point where it manifests into a reality and projects it into the firmament. So our design thinker has to be a very powerful visualizer. Only then you can reach execution and control. Design thinking relies on trial and error. Design thinking very strongly believes that you are going to make mistakes. And it is only through those mistakes that you will learn and you will reach perfection. These are the 4 basic principles of adaptive opportunism. Man is an emotional being, so don't try to fit a round peg into a square hole. Don't try to put, so-called logical data into an emotional human. Go observe. Take the information firsthand. Dig deeper. Visualize the results. Visualize what he is talking about. Visualize the solution and then execute it. So how do you empathize? Empathy is something we always talk about. But how do you empathize with your user? This is a word which is often used. You first observe him. Watch your user in action. If you want to see, understand what are the difficulties the user is finding with a particular model of a car, you will have to go see him driving the car. Watch him in action and take note of the non-verbal cues and the body languages. Is he happy about getting into the car? Is he comfortable holding the steering wheel? Is he comfortable navigating the gears? Are his legs synchronized in working on the accelerator, clutch, and the brake? Observe everything. Where is the problem? Meet and arrange a meeting with him to find out more about his life, workplace, and even his home. You will develop empathy if you are in his place. Many a time, from the comfort of our air-conditioned chamber, we try to understand the person we need to decide upon. One of the very famous methods, Japanese management method, is managing by walking around. I'm sure most of the consultants here will know that the Japanese recommend that you walk through the shop floor to understand the problems which are there. If there is a problem somewhere, go to that place, roll up your sleeves and get down to handling it. Only then you will be in a position to appreciate what is the problem that person is feeling. So go meet your customer in his place. Ask questions, both non-leading, open-ended questions that will give you more information. And finally, listen to what he is telling, and while listening, please do not hold a conversation with yourself. We hear things, but we don't listen. What do I mean by say we hear but don't listen? When somebody says something, we are constantly holding a parallel conversation in our mind with that stimulus. In the process, maybe the beginning part of the conversation is understood. After that, everything is lost because we are busy constructing an answer for that statement. So listen. To empathize, you need to observe your customer where he is in his natural surrounding. For that, you will have to go and meet him at a time which is convenient for him, which is opportune. That means if he is having a problem, you should go and meet him while he is handling the problem. If you want to see how your mobile is working, you should go and meet him at a time when he is using the mobile. You know, there is a, in for medical science, we say doing a echocardiogram is not of any use before or after the heart attack. You should do an echocardiogram while the heart attack is in progress. Only then you will know really where the problem is. But unfortunately, that is not possible. Means what? You should study something in operation to understand the problems of it. So go and meet your customer at that point in his place. Ask questions, dig, don't be like a cow which only eats the top of the grass. Be like a horse which pulls the grass out of its roots. And finally, listen. Now, what do we observe? What do we observe? Can any one of you tell me? Tell me a couple of things you would like to observe.
Can you please repeat the question? What exactly we are supposed to?
Yeah, what do you observe in your customer to understand him?
So can I come?
Yeah.
First thing is we try to observe what are his pain points.
What are his?
Pain points. What are his pain points?
So how do you observe that?
So he will express us.
He will explain.
So, and the sale of his product will go down day by day, and he will get negative feedback and he will share with us.
Rajendra ji, what will you observe?
Sir, what is the person? I mean, this is actually on the spot observation. So you have to just carefully look at what is he trying to do. What is going good with the person? Where is the obstacle? And
how will you observe that?
Huh?
Tell me a few things which you will observe.
Sir, can I?
Yes.
Sir, we will observe the process. What is the process? First by asking, and second by going through that process. I mean, if it is a, going or seeing through that process. I mean,
what will you observe in that process?
and then observe what are the challenges which are coming up, and how those challenges
How will you know he's facing a challenge?
Sir, when we ask first.
No, only observe. You see, there are two types of observations, covert and overt.
Okay.
I think
covert observation is when he doesn't know you are observing him. Overt observation, he knows you are observing him. In both these cases, what will you observe?
Sir, may I, sir?
Yes, Mr. Anand.
I would observe his actions, how he's interacting with people around him. I would observe his actions, take notes, even if I'm observing overt, and try to find out what type of emotions are visible when he's interacting with people.
Can you be a bit more clear in that?
Can I quote an example?
Okay, let's say he's selling something to a customer in store. I would see how he is interacting with the customer. What are the questions he asks, or how does he sell his product to the customer? And I would see if there are any issues that crop up. I would see I would observe his body language. I try to see his facial expression. Is he comfortable doing the task, or is he finding any difficulty? By observation, I try to observe his body language, facial expressions. That is something which I do. Try to take notes as to what situation and how he is responding. That would be my first level of observation.
Anyone else?
I think the amount of energy, whether it is gaining energy or losing energy during the activity.
How do you know he's gaining or losing energy?
The facial expressions primarily, and the body.
Yeah, what in the facial expression?
Can I give an example?
The
Sir?
emotions
Yes.
associated with it.
Huh?
Okay, I
Tell
can
me.
give an example, sir.
Please.
example, a customer walks into a shop. What happens is the first customer tries to select between two varieties of a same item. First observation is, why is the customer selecting two things and observing at the same time? What is his facial expression at that point of time when he selects the first one, but he is putting it back? He doesn't want to buy it. What could be the reason? Observe his facial expressions. Observe what is he doing. The second observation would be the salesperson in the counter. How is he handling the customer? Is he able to judge why the customer is not picking up the product he is constantly observing? So what a solution can he offer? Is the salesperson able to identify the customer's needs? Maybe talk to him directly and identify his needs, why he is putting it back and why he is selecting the other one. So I think this is the example.
Very good. Very good. Yes. Anybody else?
Yeah, can I
I'd
give?
like to try, Arunji.
Yes.
Yeah, so basically it's the emotions that usually it could be a negative or a emotion, how passionate he's about it, how frustrated, angry, something is getting triggered, is there some helplessness? When he's talking, just gauging his emotions that he's associating with the situation or who he's being at that point in time.
Yes, very good. See, all of you are right. None of you are wrong. That is the beauty of it. Yeah. Yes, someone was going to talk.
Yeah, Atul.
Yes, Atulji, boliye.
Yeah, in one of the places, the production was up to a certain mark, and they said it cannot be improved. And when I actually went and saw in the line, there were certain people where the bottlenecks were the fast worker or working on a place where it needed to be slow. And the place which was a bottleneck, there was a slow worker working. So things of that, several things, they said that there is no bottleneck, but the line, certain places, there was a lot of inventory line and line stoppages were there. And as per the report, data, everything was okay. So once I observed, started doing these things, our production increased from 30,000 to 50,000 in about 2 weeks time. Just observation.
So what did you observe?
Observe how where the flow was getting obstructed. Observe where things cannot be.
You are talking about the process. I am talking about the person.
Persons were not none of the persons actually mentioned these things. They were like,
No, what did you observe? See, when you are seeing your customer, what should you observe? See, if you know very clearly, I should look for this, you will immediately find it. Otherwise, you will be waiting for something to strike you.
Body language, facial expression.
Lack of awareness, lack of training, lack of technical know-how. So
How will
we
you
can
know all
find
this?
out. So by observing them, so we can ask them
Tell me,
questions.
what will you observe?
We ask them and try to find out how competent they are.
Again, no asking, only observing.
Observing,
Body
I told two things. First, one is your sale or your processes, your production is going down day by day. Yes.
Yes, you're all right. Now let us see what we will observe. First, as someone rightly said, look for confusion. Is the person confused? A confused look signals an opportunity to make the experience more intuitive. He is not understanding what is happening. He is unable to decide.
Awareness.
This is a very important indicator that whatever you have gone to observe is not very clear to the person that is handling it. Confusion. Number two, look for overexertion. Notice moments when people work too hard as they seek to solve a problem. If a person is exerting himself too much, then it means he is not sure what is to be done. He is doing too many things which is not required. If you know what you have to do, you will be very brief, very crisp, and as someone rightly said, brevity is the essence of wit. The more brief you are, the more to the point and focused, the outcome will be. The third, look for movements which are unpleasant. They are the pain points. When he's doing something, there might be movements when he looks unpleasant to him. You will see it in the facial expressions and body language. He will want to avoid it. He will want to go over it. He will want to skip it. These are all points which tell you that this is where the pain point lies. Like, like Atulji was telling, that in that process, shop floor process, where there were bottlenecks, there were jams, but people were not telling. One of the things which must have told him there is a problem here to look into is people would have tried to gloss over that area. Where in other areas they will talk in detail. When it comes to that area, they will try to rush it so that it is not visible to the consultant. They will try to go over it because they are unable to explain why this sort of a situation exists. And they feel scared, so they will try to rush over it. That is a pain point. Am I correct, Mr. Atul?
They had not taken me to the assembly, sir, at all.
Huh?
They had not taken me to the assembly shop floor. I insisted I need to go there.
See, I was only telling about they're rushing that they took you somewhere else.
Yes.
So you see, these are indicators that pain points are here. And once you identify those pain points, it is very easy for you to take to the next step. Then there is something called, very importantly, an appropriation. Do you know what an appropriation is? Can any one of you tell me what is an appropriation? An appropriation is a way of using it other than what it was intended as. The way of using it other than what it was intended as. Now, I will give you a simple example. You see, there was this, this kind of a shop floor was there in one of the factories where I was a CEO, and then I had gone there. And that shop floor was not, the production unit was not performing well. The production was less. I'm just giving you a very small area to show you how you can understand this. And I just went with the works manager, we were just chit-chatting. My idea was not to do any ethnography or anything. And then I had gone there for a routine discussion with the works manager. It was a pharma company, and the factory was in Hosur. So when we were just discussing, I said, why don't we go to the shop floor and see things around? We just walk around that. Maybe, we will get an idea as to what could possibly be wrong. I said, come, let's go. We went. As I was going there, I saw in 2-3 places. In one place, a hammer, it was kept in the, like this, with the head down and the wood handle up, trying to support something which was kept there. In another place, I saw a can was kept to support something. In the third place, something else was kept to support something like this. I didn't say anything, I just came away with it. Then I asked him, where are the tools kept here? We found that the tools were all kept for all the, the huge factory, many units. The tools were all kept in one particular, shack, quite some distance away. There was a lot of time being spent in the people going and getting the tools from there. So what they were doing this appropriation. They were using ordinary things to do small work adjustment.
You call them.
When I brought this to the notice of that person.
Jugaad. You call them jugaad.
It's not jugaad. Jugaad is the innovation. This is not job. This is using something in a way that it is not meant to be used. A hammer is not meant to be used as a prop. A hammer is used to drive a nail or something in. But when you use it as a prop, it's an appropriation. You are using it to do something else. So what happens is, if then after that, when I spoke about this to the works manager took some action. He created one small room in each of these units where the things which are required for that are kept and everything can be accessed immediately. Why did the people use this hammer and other things like that for the temporary, support? Because they did not want to walk all the distance there. And in the process, what happens? The efficiency of the whole unit comes down. If 1 or 2% efficiency also comes down in each of the units, the cumulative efficiency of the entire factory goes down tremendously. You see, when you look at these things, you will find that, there is this case where a company which was making, wooden boxes. One of the salesperson of that wooden boxes, went to one of the customers who was a regular customer. They used to make huge crates in which they used to transport machinery from one continent to another through containers and other things. He had gone there for an order. He was going through the shop floor when suddenly, some distance away, a huge wooden crate fell from the crane and broke. He jumped up and said, anyone got hurt? He said, no, sir, don't worry. Nothing has happened. This is our way of opening the crate. Your crates are so strong, it is very difficult to open. So normally we pick it up to a height and leave it. It falls down, breaks. And then, we take out all the nuts and bolts out of it. This guy came back and then reported this to the management. He said that, look, it is true that we need to make strong crates, but we shouldn't make crates so strong and so heavy that people have to adopt this sort of an attitude to open it. What was the outcome? The crates which were thereafter designed were sturdy, but the cost of the crate came down because innovation was done on it and it was easy to handle. The sales went up, the cost of the crate came down. You see, when you observe these things carefully, small things, as someone rightly said, take care of the penny and the pound will take care of itself. The result of non-performance need not be a gross and huge blunder. It could be very small, tiny, insignificant things. A number of them added together could bring down your performance. There is this story about Colgate. I'm sure all of you have heard. Colgate wanted to increase its sales by 20%. They were breaking their head how to do it. They came to a design thinking company. The design thinking company, 3 design thinkers, went and put a room in a hotel, sat down there for 3 days, ate, and then came and gave their recommendation. I'm sure you all know they recommended increase the size of the mouth of the Colgate toothpaste by a fraction. Sales will increase because the amount of toothpaste coming out will increase. So you see, small things can create a huge impact. So that is one of the things, appropriation. And then finally, you have got another very important thing which you have to see is skipped steps. Many a time, you see, we skip the steps in what we have to do. And that can be a big pointer to what is redundant, what is not required. Look for these 5 things whenever you are observing your customer. Where is he finding confusion? Where is exertion visible? Where he is having to make extra effort to do an ordinary thing? What is he trying to skip? Because that is where the pain point really is. It is human tendency that we will skip that. That is where the pain point is. Appropriation. How is he using the product that is not meant to be used? And what are the steps he is skipping in whatever he is doing?
Skipping of steps means what is mandatory as per your processes, and you are not doing it.
Yes. You see, for instance, I will tell you, you will skip a particular step. Why?
Because we are not comfortable at it.
No, not only that, maybe you don't know the importance of that step.
Can I give example?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yes, please.
You see, I was working in one of the software company. So I was not on actually on software, but non-software. So when I tried to see the processes, these testing people were doing a lot of complaints of development people. And when we studied the process for each component, when you do it and you design it or develop it, you have to do unit testing. And tester, they do overall testing. But they were not doing, they were thinking our brothers in testing, they are going to do it. And they were wasting a lot of time. So they were skipping that unit testing, it was mandatory for them, just thinking that it is going to be done at the last. So there was a huge wastage of time. Thank you.
Yeah. See, and I will tell you another very common problem is enforcing discipline in the office. I'm sure you'll all agree with me. People come late, people go early, people don't sign the register regularly. All these problems, the attendance register, they don't sign regularly. The register will be kept next to the receptionist. It will not be signed regularly. People just enter, come back, and then sign afterwards. All these things happen or not?
Sure.
Huh?
Everywhere it happens.
Supposing you are a design thinker who has been asked to diagnose the reason for all these things. What will you do?
You see, what happening when they introduced this swipe card, sir. When they introduced swipe card, one man was swiping and three were going out for canteen and others. Then they changed to.
But tell me, why does it? What will you do? This problem is visible. You see, this happened in a place.
So we changed the process to biometry. Thumb. You put the thumb, then you go out.
Okay, then what is to stop another person going out along with the person who has put the thumb impression?
No, only one at a time. Huh? Yes, you are right.
No, why?
Oh, you are right. You are right.
You see, for everything there is a negative side also.
Camera.
You know, I'll tell you one of the things which I observed in one of the offices I was that the same problem was that.
Yes, sir.
You know, I said that he said that you can see how it is, how they are signing, we maintain time. I said, don't do any of those things. I will come to your office at around 4:35. You show me the register. I went there, I saw the register. I found a very peculiar thing. I was sitting in the MD's room and I found a very peculiar thing. Can any one of you tell me what I saw?
You know, even in the college days, it was very popularly known as proxy. So people
MD has not signed, sir.
Correct.
Pardon?
The MD had not signed the register.
Yes.
Yatha Raja Tatha Praja. When you don't give importance to your company's rules and regulations, how do you expect them to do it?
Charity begins at home.
So you see, it is very essential. You skip steps. Now this person, I am the boss. He skipped that step. Outcome? Indiscipline in the office. These are very, when I told him, I said that, look, you learn to first give respect to your company policies. The day you start coming in time and signing the register, religiously, you will find you don't have to tell anyone, they will come and do it themselves. Let the world see it. You see, skipped steps is a very, 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 very important thing. We always neglect to do that. And that is where the main problem starts. This is a very simple thing. In your area of expertise, as an IoT, Rajendra Sapreji, you must be able to identify hundreds of things which possibly even you skip when you are doing something. Because you are an expert, you say, this is not necessary. And in the process, what do you signal? You signal to everyone else that this step is redundant. This is for people who don't understand. This is not for people who understand. And it might be a very important step. Okay, in that instant, it might not have been important for you, but in another instant, it would be important. You would do it. But what you have signaled is it is not important always. And then the problem starts.
Yeah. Can I add something?
Please.
So yeah, I mean, this first thing which you mentioned, like my CEO, for example, whenever we put this signing the muster actually for the first time, so he was the one who will come early in the morning and actually sign for himself. Once his sign puts there, actually nobody else actually dares not to sign. I mean, that was the ritual actually kind of a thing. So I mean, that point is very much taken. I mean, it gels with my experience. Similarly, when we went for automated actually timesheets, there also his timesheets were always there. I mean, in the dashboard, he will display that, okay, all 30 days I have put my thing daily, the timesheet. So by example, everybody else starts following. So that is one thing. And about the skipped steps, actually, my father gave me one glaring example. He was a storekeeper and he used to work for this Premier Automobiles. So when the car production actually increased by 30%, there was one particular agent for anti-rusting of the screws, okay, on the chassis. So they were expecting that this particular agent's need will be also 30% more. So they ordered more, and then they found out that there was a lot of surplus actually. Okay, so he pointed out that, okay, this is something which is actually difficult, means you cannot actually have like a reduced consumption per car. Okay, so then when they explored that, actually they came to know that the speed has increased and it is not manually possible to put the this interesting thing at all the points on the assembly of that particular chassis. Okay, so because of that, the workers were actually skipping it. So finally it boiled down, even if you miss one screw, finally it boiled down to 75% kind of, 25% reduction. So that way actually means sometimes you have to actually change the method. Otherwise, humanly it is not possible, and then people skip the steps.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Now let us move on. You see, after observation, let us move on to a very, very important aspect. The next is a question map for need finding. You see, we all ask questions. We all ask questions. But if I were to ask you, what are the various type of questions, will you be able to answer? Will anyone want to try?
Nobody. No, people will hide some questions,
Okay, now let us see. We will now see what are the various, why this is very important is, once you know the various type of questions and how to frame those questions, doing ethnography becomes very easy. I'm going to show you 10 different types of questions. 10 basic types of questions, which if you ask, you will be able to gain good insight into the, implicit things which are lying in the subconscious of the customer. First, tracing behaviors. What is this tracing behavior?
We want to understand his emotion.
Yes, absolutely. The question, what sort of a question should be there?
Buying pattern?
Huh?
Buying pattern?
What question? Like, why do you smile when you say that? When we are saying something of which we are very confident, we put on a smile. How do you know that it works? How do you know what will work and what will not work? Who has taught you that you should do like this? All these are tracing behavior questions. These will bring out the implicit feeling from within the customer. Second, gaining clarity. What exactly do you mean by saying this? How would you describe this in your own word? Supposing you were to teach this to a school student, how would you do it? Supposing your wife were to ask you about this, what will you explain? All these will give you a very good clarity about what exactly is the atmosphere inside the mind of the person. Are you getting me?
Yes, sir.
Can you, sir, elaborate a little more on glaring clarity?
But wherever you see, because the next exercise is going to be very tricky. Because unless you understand ethnography and understand how to question, you will not be able to understand the implicit need, the unstated needs of your customer. Let us say a person is operating something. You ask him, so how do you find it? He smiles. He says, it's damn good. You ask him, sir, why are you smiling when you're telling it is damn good? Now he will tell you what made him smile. Supposing, let us say, I am explaining this to you. You want better clarity. If you were to ask me, Arun, please tell me, if you were to explain this concept to your wife, how would you do it? How would you explain it to her? Now, to a wife, definitely I'll be explaining it in a slightly different way. You understand what I mean? So you see, that you gain clarity. The third is exploring questions. You say this is difficult. What exactly is difficult about it? Difficult, or recently you're finding it difficult? Is this model difficult, or all models are difficult? You know, when you ask, probe further, you will get much better clarity. Next is asking about the sequence. What is the first time you remember you faced a difficulty while using it? What happened before that, or what happened after that? Was it always difficult, or is it the first time that you are facing this difficulty? With whom did you discuss this difficulty and at what time? You know, all these things will help you to get an idea about the sequence surrounding it. Let us say the productivity of a unit has gone down. You have been called by the company to find out the reason of why the productivity of the unit has gone down, and what they want you to improve the productivity of the unit. What will you do? Will anyone answer?
So you have to see where you can minimize the wastages, whether it is time, energy, so of the people, resources unutilized. So these things you have to see. So what are the gray areas where they are not optimally not utilized? So that way.
So sometimes
unmute your video, Mr. Atul.
So several times between the process, gap is not declared. Something came in with an expired item and it was passed on to the paint shop. And in the paint shop, it was again passed on to the assembly, and then the later rejection happened. And why did you send the expired material? So there was shortage on the shop floor. So this sequence of events, when the problem came, when we traced it back, then we found out, okay, it was declared, it was explained, but the supervisor said, right now, this other problem will happen, let it go. Example.
Thank you. Sapreji, a unit productivity has come down.
Yeah, so what changed recently means since the productivity gone down, so at that point, actually, what has changed? So that needs to be actually understood from the people there.
This is what is called questioning sequence. What was the productivity of the unit for a particular period of time, say maybe 1 year or 2 years? What has been the graph? When all has it gone down like this? What are the similarities between when it went down last and when it is going down now? What was the situation when the productivity was its highest? How is it different from the situation now? See, questioning sequence is very important so that you will know where to look. Because you see, a particular, let us say, a particular company factory has a, wastage of say 3%. If the 3% is maintained over the last 2 years, no change has happened. But over the last 2 years, with the wastage being 3%, the output has been 97%, and the clearance of the product has been 95%, and only 2% has been rejected. Suddenly, that has come down to 94%. Where did this 1% go? What was the last time it happened? What was the condition at that time? What was the condition of the process during the period when it was 97%? You see, questioning the sequence is very important to understand where the things are going wrong. Nothing is standalone. Just taking something as a standalone and looking at it might not help always. So asking about the sequence is very important. Then asking for example. Have you seen something like this happen in any other company? Have you seen this sort of a problem being faced by someone else? Have you discussed this problem with someone else? What solution did they give? If this were a different sort of a company and this problem had occurred, how would you have addressed it? All these are asking examples, because many a time, we know, but we are unable to put our hand on it because it is not coming out of our subconscious. When these triggers are given, our subconscious itself gives the answer to us. Then there is this exploring questions. So you say that it is not working now. Has it not worked sometime else in the past? Did you have a problem with this before? How did you handle it? Who handled it for you? What did you do with the product at that time? Explore. In 99% of the cases, your customer will give you the answer to the problem. You don't have to do anything. You have to only facilitate him to find out the solution. Please understand, the monkey is his. It is not your monkey. Don't take it on your shoulder. Help him find out the answer. When you explore the question, when did it last work? What did you do with the problem at that time? Who did you discuss it with? How was it solved? If this problem has never occurred before in your life, why do you think it has occurred today? In what way are the circumstances different than when you have been using it regularly? What do you think could have gone wrong? Explore. Then we come to understanding connections and relations. So what did you do and who did you tell as soon as this happened? Who helped you with it? Let us say the mixie has repaired. So who did you tell that the mixie is not working? You might have found that your wife has just simply called up the maintenance people and told them that connection mixie is not working, please come and check the connection. She might herself have realized that the electrical connection is wrong. Something is wrong there. So try to find out, how did you hear about this problem? Who came and told you about this problem? Oftentimes you will find in the shop floor a problem occurs and the management hears about it after 3 days and everything has been going on routinely even for those 3 days. How is that possible? Some way they have been doing it. Like Mr. Biswas, Mr. Goswami said, Jugaad. So understanding connections and relations between that problem and what has been happening. Informing outsiders. If you have to explain this problem to an outsider, how would you explain it? How would you explain this problem to your grandparents? You will find that you will find innovative way of explaining the problem to them, and in the process, the answer will pop out. Comparing processes. What is the difference between the problem that you are facing and a similar problem that your friend is facing? Or what is the difference between the problem that your organization is facing and the organization next door is facing? Supposing both are having labor problems. So what is the difference between the labor problem that you are facing and the labor problem that that person is facing? The moment you look into the differences in the perception of the labor and the organization, you get a better idea as to what it is that you are doing wrong, which he is doing right, and what is he doing right, wrong, which you are doing right. You get a better view of it. And finally, this is a very powerful method. If the same problem had occurred in the year 2030, how would it look? How would you handle it? Or if the same problem had occurred, in a different time zone, how would it have looked? What do you propose to do now so that you will be able to handle it at that time? All these different questions will help you arrive at a clear understanding of what the customer has in his mind, what is required for you to do. There are a number of consultants here. I want to ask you all one question. How many times it has happened that a company gave you a mandate? They want a solution. You start working on it. And based upon that requirement, you come up with the solution. At that time, they say, no, this is not what we had in our mind. Has it happened?
Yes, it happens.
Atulji?
Yes.
Yes, sir, it happened quite a couple of times, sir. In one case, somebody came to me. Yeah, in one case, somebody wanted to sell out and wanted me to do some sort of valuation. And we got some inputs, and he said, I will not sell now. I will revive it. So several times, in one case, somebody wanted a systems, and when we were looking at it, he did not know that there is a scope. The assignment scope changed. If I have answered you correctly, sir.
So that means what?
We get a clearer understanding when we get into the shoes. they have not seen that
Yes.
themselves, and asking questions actually clarified that point.
You see, oftentimes we keep doing something based upon the explicit need expressed by the customer. And the implicit need is something else altogether. Am I right, Pooja ji?
Correct, correct.
Yes, Arun. Yes.
So when you do a proper ethnography questioning in their environment and understand, you will be able to really understand what is to be done. And in the process, you can save yourself a lot of agony and trouble. And this will also create a tremendous amount of confidence in the mind of the customer. Now just imagine, like Atulji said one thing, that the person wanted an evaluation to be done because he wanted to sell. And once the valuation was done, he decided not to sell. Now, definitely, you see, when he wanted the valuation to be done, he must have conveyed this to Atulji that I want to sell off my company, so I want you to do a valuation. Am I right, Atulji?
Yes, sir. Yes.
And in the end, when you gave the valuation and he decided not to sell, he must have cut a very sorry figure. So
No,
what happens to the relationship between you and him?
Relationship improved because he said this side I had not seen. In one case, it did not happen. He wanted me to work on something and he did not get the result. He says, I wanted sales to improve next month. I said, I'm not working for sales next month. So there have been failures and successes both.
So you see, what happens is, and many a times, you know what happens, I have seen this happen in my case also a number of times, that people backtrack on that decision and they feel shamefaced that they had to backtrack on that decision. And the fault is not theirs. They are not expected to know their implicit need. It is we as consultants, as their mentors and guide, who have to help them see their implicit need. So it is absolutely essential that we do this ethnographic questioning and bring the need out into the open so that they will be benefited. I think Mr. Singaraju is a chartered accountant, right, Mr. Singaraju? Mr. Singaraju, are you there? Okay.
One such situation, can I speak, sir? Pushpa here.
Please.
When I was in corporate, I had been given a mandate of bringing little more customers. I was a customer support manager, and one of my role given to me was bring increase sales. So there was one such customer of ours, very dear customer of course. What happened is he went to everyone asking for reduction in price, but everyone refused, including the area sales manager. So what happened was finally he came to me. So I just kept on asking questions to him. What happened was there was one such answer which I got, I know is the clue. I just told, okay, we are the suppliers of raw material. We were actually manufacturers of hose pipes. So I said, okay, fine, we will give you hose prices at a reduced rate. I can talk to the management for further little more discount, not much though. But for can I take one request from you? That is, can you talk to your other person, that is hose assembly manufacturer, from where he used to purchase his assemblies. So for the assembly, he told me while talking that they are ready to reduce the price. So what I told him was, I just took this cue and I said, okay, fine. Can you ask your hose assembler to reduce the price? So what happens is the landed price for you will be reduced. So I don't know what happened. He just agreed. Finally, our sales also increased because he was happy. There was 1% reduction as I had promised him. I spoke to the management and got him. And his hose assembly price also was reduced. So what I showed him as an end result was the landed price for him was reduced.
Very good. Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Pushpaji. Now let us move on to the, you see, once you have got all these questions ready in your, answered, and you have observed the customer in his surrounding, you have a very good idea about what is troubling him. Now you need to visualize his problem as well as the solution. The visualization is very important because that is where everything happens. Visualization is a transformation of information into images that you see either literally or with the eyes of your mind. Now let us see how a design thinker visualizes. Number one, he keeps it very simple. It helps him think aloud. Once they see an idea on paper, they can add to it, build on it, and share it with each other for a better understanding. If I tell you something that in my mind, you might perceive it differently, but if I draw it and show it to you correctly, you'll understand it fully. Second thing is break your problem into its various components. A problem is never one single problem. There are multiple problems. Third is think in terms of metaphors. A metaphor is designed to share an open thought process with others to identify and communicate deeper sets of relationships. Then use pictures to convey. Always use pictures. A design thinker's favorite is pictures. He sees it. Let us take an example. To stop the spread of COVID virus, it is absolutely necessary for us to participate in
Sir, we lost your voice.
How would you show it? How would you show it?
We lost your last sentence. If you can please repeat.
Huh?
We lost about 30 seconds.
The design thinker uses pictures and visualization to always visualize an idea or a solution. Let us say the problem is to stop the spread of COVID virus. It is absolutely necessary for us to practice social distancing. We need to ensure that we don't crowd. We need to avoid crowded places. For that, social distancing is a must. So how do you convey this message to the people?
Through this picture, sir.
Yeah, sure. Create a picture which will convey this message that you should, avoid crowded places and maintain social distancing.
I can show myself in a bubble, and the big bubble is avoiding all the viruses, keeping the like a shield, and it is keeping out.
Okay. Then
A honeycomb. A honeycomb.
Yes. Tell me.
Like a honeycomb.
Honeycomb, yes. Anybody else?
Sir, actually, I think it's already shown in the previous slide. Tracing and distancing.
Huh?
In this. So the binoculars, I mean that one, that is for tracing.
Okay, let me show you.
There was one picture which was like there are adjacent matchboxes, actually matchsticks, and then one matchstick is away from that line, and then there it actually stops.
See this picture, how it will be.
Yes. Fear oriented. Yeah, this is better, much better.
This is more humorous also. Want to catch COVID. More catchy.
Okay.
But still the scenario is same in Mumbai, sir.
So we use pictures. This is visualization. This is called the art of visualization. You don't talk much, the message goes very strong. Okay, go there, you can catch COVID. That's the easiest way of catching COVID. Now you think of the reverse, what is not catching COVID. Experiment with storyboarding. Storyboarding, this is what it is. You create a whiteboard, start putting, pictures in it and create a story with it. You create personas. Personas is you create a picture of your customer. You take a sample customer and create a picture and then address him. Now you see this group of 17 people are here. Can any one of you tell me what persona I must have created for you all so that I can create a program to address you? I have created a persona and I'm addressing only that persona, that individual I am addressing.
That you are an expert in design thinking.
Huh?
That you are an expert in design
Consultant.
thinking.
Not me. I'm talking about that persona. You see, whenever a persona is a representative of the segment that you are addressing.
You have studied our age group, you have studied our qualification, you have studied our demography from where we are coming and our financial background. All these things we have studied.
Okay. So you are around 65 to 70 years old, Anilji?
Yes, sir.
You come from North India?
Yes, sir.
You are a retired, highly intellectual person?
I don't know.
And on the other extreme, I have got Ala Srinivas Bose, who is a youngster of around 32 years old.
Yes, sir.
Ambitious,
Yes,
starting off in his career in a big way.
Yes, sir.
Now, which midpoint do I take? So you see, this thinking that demographics and all that many a time does not work. It doesn't work. That is where personas become so very tricky. You see, I know this group, fine, but there are so many groups, where I address, I don't know them. I don't know anybody. My consultant just tells me 37 people are registered for your branding program. This is on so and so, so and so, so and so date. That's all. I just have to go and give. Now, how do I create? And then, I can't address 37 people. I address one person. That is persona creation. We will see how to create a persona. How to create a powerful persona which will answer all the requirements that you have. And you will be able to address every one of them. I'm sure you must have got an inkling. If I tell you, you will all understand what is the persona I have created for you, because I have repeated that word at least 100 times since yesterday. Can anyone of you guess? Huh?
Consultant. Consultant.
Correct. Consultant.
Was bang on.
The only person I sat down and created is a successful consultant who has handled many projects, problems, and understands the nuances of the consulting world. Now, I built that consultant in my mind and created the program and the talk to address to that person. Like, how do you create a persona? That is very important.
Very good.
Because, you see, one major problem that people have in addressing a crowd is they get scared of the crowd. So many people, how will they address? But when you create a persona, you're talking one-on-one to a person, then, it becomes very simple, very easy. Then you tell stories. Take a storytelling mode to convey your message. Don't deliver data, don't deliver information. We have seen as a design thinker that data is a waste. For a design thinker, emotion is everything. You are dealing with emotional people. They will react emotionally and justify the reaction with data and logic, but they will react only emotionally. Then finally, practice guided imagery. Be totally guided by imagery. How many of you recognize this person? Anyone recognize him?
Japanese Prime Minister.
Morita.
Huh?
Morita.
Yes, it is Sony founder Akio Morita.
Akio Morita.
You know, you would be very surprised to know that he was advised against launching the Walkman by his research team. He was advised against launching the Walkman by his research team, but he rejected and ignored the marketing department's warning, trusting his own gut instead. He trusted his gut. He trusted how he saw people doing business. And he launched a Walkman, which went on to sell 330 million units before our what is it? iPod came. Before iPod came, Walkman had sold 330 million units. In fact, Walkman was one of the reasons why iPod came.
Yes.
Akio Morita had done what Clayton Christensen, the father of disruptive innovation, came to call job to be done. This job to be done is a pillar of design thinking. If there is no more question about ethnography, we will move on to job to be done. Is there any questions?
Sir, how to create personas?
We will be coming to that. Don't worry. Let us not put the cart before the horse. Yeah.
Okay,
There
sure,
is
sure,
nothing
sure.
you will not know of design thinking before the means the program ends. Don't worry.
Sure, sir.
So what's the difference between experiment with storyboarding and tell stories?
Experimental storyboarding is creating stories.
Okay, and tell stories.
You have an insight, Gopi. Okay, you have an insight. The insight is in the form of a message.
Okay.
You want to give a message. Let me think about it. How do I tell it? You want to give a message that discipline is very important in an office environment. You want to give this message. Now, how will you give this message? If you just call all the people and tell discipline is very important, they'll say, yes, sir, we all agree with you. Is this what you wanted?
No.
Then what will you do? How will you do it?
I think connecting that with a story or probably a message that reaches, like how
What
you.
Rajendra Sapreji did with his team is a classic example of telling a story. He explained why, what a subordinate's job is. To do the work, keep the boss informed, make the boss grow. And he said that's precisely what an IoT does. The story is complete.
Yeah.
The insight has been given. It addresses many pressure points. Number one, you want to get the job done, IoT will get the job done for you. You want to be up to date on where the job is at every stage of its evolution and prognosis, the IoT will tell you. And you want your career and your business to grow, IoT is a good tool to help you in your career and your business. The simple story of a man going and asking his boss conveyed it. To arrive at this story, you create multiple stories, multiple scenarios.
Okay.
And then coalesce all those scenarios through an affinity map. What are the various elements of the stories which are combining together to form one story?
Okay, sir. Got it. So that's more of exploration. This is something we framed and come up with a.
Storyboarding is divergence.
Okay.
Storytelling is after the convergence takes place.
Okay, sir.
Then can we go to job to be done?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Watch this video.
Hi, my name's Clay Christensen. I'm a professor at the Harvard Business School. I brought with me a set of puzzles, all related to innovation. We decided that the way we teach marketing is at the core of what makes motivation difficult to achieve. The most helpful way we've thought of it so far is that we actually hire products to do things for us. And understanding what job we have to do in our lives for which we would hire a product is really the key to cracking this problem of motivating customers to buy what we're offering. So I wanted just to tell you a story about a project we did for one of the big fast food restaurants. They were trying to goose up the sales of their milkshakes. They had just studied this problem up the gazoo. They brought in customers who fit the profile of the quintessential milkshake consumer. And they'd give them samples and ask, could you tell us how we can improve our milkshakes so you'd buy more of them? Do you want it chocolatey or cheaper, chunky or chewier? They get very clear feedback. They would then improve the milkshake on those dimensions, and it had no impact on sales or profits whatsoever. So one of our colleagues went in with a different question on his mind, and that was, I wonder what job arises in people's lives that cause them to come to this restaurant to hire a milkshake. So we stood in a restaurant for 18 hours one day and just took very careful data. What time did they buy these milkshakes? What were they wearing? Were they alone? Did they buy other food with it? Did they eat it in the restaurant or drive off with it? It turned out that nearly half of the milkshakes were sold before 8 o'clock in the morning. The people who bought them were always alone. It was the only thing they bought, and they all got in the car and drove off with it. So to figure out what job they were trying to hire it to do, we came back the next day and stood outside the restaurant so we could confront these folks as they left, milkshake in hand. And in language that they could understand, we essentially asked, excuse me, please, but I got to sort this puzzle out. What job were you trying to do for yourself that caused you to come here and hire that milkshake? And they'd struggle to answer, so we'd then help them by asking other questions like, well, think about the last time you were in the same situation, needing to get the same job done, but you didn't come here to hire a milkshake. What did you hire? And then as we put all of their answers together, it became clear that they all had the same job to do in the morning, and that is they had a long and boring drive to work. And they just needed something to do while they drove to keep the commute interesting. One hand had to be on the wheel, but somebody had given them another hand and there wasn't anything in it. And they just needed something to do while they drove. They weren't hungry yet, but they knew they'd be hungry by 10 o'clock. So they also wanted something that would just pull down there and stay for their morning. Good question. What do I hire when I do this job? You know, I've never framed the question that way before, but last Friday, I hired a banana to do the job. Take my word for it, never hire bananas. They're gone in 3 minutes, you're hungry by 7:30. If you promise not to tell my wife, I'd probably hire donuts twice a week, but they don't do it well either. They're gone fast, they crumb all over my clothes, they get my fingers gooey. Sometimes I hire bagels, but as you know, they're so dry and tasteless. Then I have to steer the car with my knees while I'm putting jam on them, and then if the phone rings, we got a crisis. I remember I hired a Snickers bar once, but I felt so guilty I've never hired Snickers again. Let me tell you, when I come here and hire this milkshake, it is so viscous that it easily takes me 20 minutes to suck it up that thin little straw. Who cares what the ingredients are? I don't. All I know is I'm full all morning and it fits right here in my cup holder. Well, it turns out that the milkshake does the job better than any of the competitors, which in the customer's minds are not Burger King milkshakes, but it's bananas, donuts, bagels, Snickers bars, coffee, and so on. But I hope you can see how, if you understand the job, how to improve the product becomes just obvious.
Did you people understand his what he was telling? Now, let me repeat what he told. That was Clayton Christensen, the person who defined disruptive innovation. He is called the father of disruptive innovation. He is a professor of marketing and innovation in Harvard University. They conducted a market survey for a fast food restaurant which was selling milkshake. That fast food restaurant was on a highway, and they tried all sorts of techniques to improve the sales of their milkshake. They did survey, trying to find out which flavor the customers would like. They did survey on the price, they did survey on the size, they did survey on everything. And then they tried to change things depending upon those survey, but nothing worked. The sales of milkshake did not increase. Then came Harvard Business School. They brought the case study to Harvard Business School, and Clayton Christensen and his team came and did the survey. The question they asked was, you know, in design thinking, hire a product means buy a product. So hiring means something different here. So they will always talk in terms of hiring a product. So the first question was, what is the demographic profile of the people who are hiring this product? Now, normally, you know, a milkshake, children would love them the most. When they came and stood there and did a survey, they found that the highest number of people who purchased the milkshake were adults. The milkshake were purchased before 8 a.m. Maximum number was purchased before 8 a.m. So what they did was, next day they came back again. They waited outside the restaurant, approached the people who purchased the milkshake and asked them a few questions. They said, look, we are trying to understand why so early in the day you are buying a milkshake. Can you please help us understand what job do you expect this milkshake to do? And then the next question they asked was, when you did not buy this milkshake to do the job that you wanted to do, what did you buy? Why are you continuing with this milkshake now? What is it that the people said? They said, look, we are driving to the office and we will be reaching by around 9:30. It is a 1-hour drive from here. One hand is holding the steering wheel, the other hand is free. We need something for this hand to do. At this time, at 8 o'clock, we might not be feeling hungry, but by 10 o'clock, we will feel hungry. So we want something which will help us not get hungry by 10 a.m. The last time I purchased something which was not a milkshake was possibly a banana, but the banana goes in and, you know, immediately within 15-20 minutes, I'm hungry again. And now I also have a peel which is sticking to my finger. Sometimes I purchase a donut. A donut goes in very fast. It leaves crumbs on my dress. And there were times when I purchased bread and bacon, but now I have to apply a jam and drive the car with my niece. And there are times when I purchase a Snicker, I would never purchase that because it is full of sugar. So I think the milkshake is the best because of it. It is so thick that it will take me 20 minutes to consume. And it also goes and fills in my stomach. And by 10 a.m., I'm not hungry. That is the reason why I come and purchase the milkshake. Now the outcome became very easy. The restaurant, what it did? Can any one of you tell me what the restaurant did to increase its sales?
Drive-in kind of a thing.
More drive-ins.
Drive-in. I mean, make it easy for the drivers to actually pick it up on the go.
More drive-in points. More outlets.
Different flavors were added.
Before 8
They started advertising banana milkshake.
Yeah.
20 minutes to consume. Chocolate milkshake. 40 minutes to consume.
Different flavors. Yeah.
They started telling the time it will take for you to consume. So the drivers, depending upon the distance of what they have to drive, they started. There was a big boom in the milkshake sale in that counter. So you see, identifying the job to be done. That's why I told you, you see, a sale of a milkshake. Could anyone have ever thought that a milkshake sale will be linked to that amount of time it takes for you to suck the milkshake from the container through the straw? Unless you go and do an ethnographic survey, you will not be able to understand that. And having understood that, it is now time for us to see what is the job to be done. What do we see in it? Number one, We have to understand that people go about their days getting jobs done. All of us, whatever we are doing, is only to get a particular job done, aimed at satisfying a collection of short and long-term objectives. Nothing that we have ever done in a day is without a particular objective. Everything has got an objective. People know only part of what they want. I'm 100% sure that only part of what we want to achieve from anything is known to us. They don't really understand why they want what they want. They don't understand why they want what they want. And it is the job of the marketer or the design thinker to dig it out from inside them. What is this knowledge gap where opportunity exists? Opportunity exists in the knowledge between what you want, you think, and really what you want. In that gap is where the opportunity for innovation and services exist. That is why disruptive innovation is so powerful. The why of people's action that drive people to behave in a certain way rather than in others. This is what is the job to be done. Job to be done is the why of the people's action, why they are doing what they are doing and what is driving them to do that. If we can address that, our job to be done will be complete. Friends, we will break for 5 minutes and then we will join them. Is it okay?
Great.
Sir, previous slide for 10 seconds.
Yes.
Okay, sir. Yeah, thank you.
Any questions in this?
No.
Thank you.
Sir, what is this knowledge gap where opportunity?
The knowledge gap, you see, the knowledge is there as explicit and implicit, right?
Yeah.
What is explicit knowledge? Knowledge that you know. Knowledge which is there inside that you don't know. You don't know you have that knowledge. For instance, you see, the owner knew, the restaurant owner knew that they are purchasing ice creams, these milkshakes.
Okay.
Correct? But he did not know why they are purchasing milkshake.
Got it, sir. Yeah. I could correlate now.
See, the moment he came to know why they are purchasing the milkshake, he immediately filled up that gap. How did he do it? By giving them bigger sizes, different flavor, different viscosity. What did they say? That it takes me, what was it they told Clayton Christensen? They said, when I take this milkshake, it takes me 20 minutes to suck the milkshake through the straw. That was the key sentence. The 20 minutes. Now, for longer drives, if the restaurant can make a milkshake which will take 40 minutes to suck, will that not be preferred by the driver?
Still be preferred.
See, this is the knowledge gap. See, what is the gap, real gap? But that is where the opportunity lies.
Yes, sir. I could correlate now.
Thank you. Now let us go. Let us have a 5-minute break, and then we will reassemble.
Sure, sir.
Can we start? Is everyone there?
Okay, I am there, sir.
Okay, then we'll start. Questions about problems and projects. What are the main purpose of the questions in addition to getting information about your customer? There is one other major reason for these questions. Can any one of you tell me what is it?
Yes. Can I come?
Yeah.
If we want to design some project, so we must understand, so what are the benefits of that project to the people, how they are going to be benefited. So we'll try to collect all those information and try to help them so that their need is fulfilled. This is one point we would like to study.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yes.
In addition to understanding your customer, what is the other main purpose of questions?
What new innovation can be brought into the market?
Number 3, anybody else?
What's the big picture that he may be working on, some beyond this?
And we can also ask them, will this project will adversely affect them? So what is their opinion? You know, maybe we may be thinking in one side and the people are not ready to cooperate to fulfill those things.
I will ask them, what is the objective?
Huh?
What is the objective or the outcome expected?
Life cycle.
Yes.
Life cycle about this project.
Whose project is it? Your customer's project, isn't
The
it?
customers.
What are you going in with? What are you bringing to the table?
We are going to improve.
Your customer is bringing the project. What are you bringing to the table?
Alternatives.
We try to change the quality of their life to facilitate how better they will use our product.
Anybody else? The customer is bringing the project to the table. What are you bringing to the table? Atulji.
The questions, the eyesight to look into it. How to
What
look
are
into
you bringing to the table?
questions?
You means who, sir?
Sir, can I?
New insights
You means
actually.
the consultant. You are going there to solve
can
the
I?
project. What are you bringing to the table?
Sir, clarity to the customer on which problem he is solving.
New insights, I think.
So in which way the customer will be benefited? What is in for the customer?
That is all outcome. What are you bringing? If a person did not bring a project, will he be your customer?
We will try to
Questions.
study. We are
Please
trying to
understand the question, Anilji. Please understand the question first. If a person doesn't come with a project, is he your customer?
Sir, implicit needs of need of that project.
Go down absolutely to ground level. My question is very simple.
How to implement? We will say how to implement the project.
Our expertise to the
Correct.
project.
Absolutely right. It is your expertise you are bringing. That is why he is bringing the project to you. So on the table, two sides. One side is the project. The other side is your expertise and experience. Am I right or wrong?
Yes, sir.
Now, what is the danger of this expertise and experience? The danger in the project is that the explicit requirement is visible, the implicit requirement is not visible. That is the danger. What is the danger on your side?
The knowledge
Danger-
itself.
Danger
Yes, your
of
knowledge, your experience. What is the danger in it?
danger is, so we will try to suggest those things which may not be acceptable in that environment. So
You
people may
will
not.
do things which you are habituated to.
Yes, sir.
You will
Yes,
think
Anchoring.
in ways that you have always been thinking. That means there are 4 major problems that you will bring to the table along with your expertise. That is automaticity.
Bias.
You have always been behaving, the way you have always been addressing problems, you will address it. I will go only by my past experience. Second thing is anchoring. The moment the project is brought to me, whatever is told will get anchored in my mind. That will sit. Around that, I will build the project. Expertise bias. I think I know best. That is why the man has come to me. I expect everything to tell him and not to hear anything. And finally, contrast bias. I will constantly be checking with how I have handled the other projects and what the results have been, and I will be doing it. Questions are very powerful tools to ensure that this problem that you are going to create for yourself can be overcome. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
I'm not hearing from anybody else.
So the last point was clear. Could you explain again the contrast bias? Just
Which one?
the
You see,
contrast bias.
automaticity is, Atulji,
The
our
contrast bias.
tendency. Just a
Contrast
minute.
bias.
Yeah, our tendency to constantly do things the way we have been doing. We always try to do it in that way. We have a pattern template in our mind and we act as per the template. That is automaticity. Anchoring bias is what? Like yesterday we saw, when I said my son came and told me he wants to earn 80 to 90,000 rupees in 3 months, I anchored that 80 to 90,000 rupees in the mind of all the participants. Then all discussions were how much money he will have to make per day so that in 90 days he can make 90,000. And you know, the whole discussion started rotating around that anchored information of 80 to 90,000 rupees per month. The same thing happens when our project comes to us. The owner, the promoter, or the sponsor of the project comes with certain requirements. He has certain idea of what is wrong. He has an idea of what sort of a solution he wants. He comes and tells us. For instance, if Henry Ford had asked the people, what do you want? They would have said, we want a faster horse. But is that what they wanted? They did not want a faster horse. They wanted to go faster from one place to another. The third thing is expertise bias. A person has come to us. So what do we think? I am the boss. I know the thing. Now he has to listen to me. If he had known, he would never have come to me. He does not know, and still he is not listening to me. So you see, this expertise bias, I know everything, is one of the biggest problems that a consultant or a design thinker can face. I am the design thinker. I know everything. In fact, you know, given an opportunity, I would also like to tell Brahma how he should have created this universe in a slightly better manner. And the final is a contrast bias. Contrast and compare. What do we do? Every step of the way in our life, we have to create a reference point. And that reference point is our past experience. I'm happy. With reference to what? I'm happier today with reference to yesterday. or yesterday, things were much more easier than today. Like that, we always keep on comparing and contrasting. And in the process, what happens? We try to drive our decisions to align with our past experience. And that is what a design thinker should avoid. A design thinker should totally avoid that. And for that, questions are very important. What are the questions? Number one, the opening question. The idea behind an opening question is to understand the context and options, assess the situation, provoke thought and possibilities, and jumpstart the brain in the direction that it should go. Not necessarily always in the direction it has gone. What is an opening question? The opening question is to understand the context and the options which are available to you. What is the context in which this problem is being addressed? What are the various options available to me? Assess the situation. Where, at what stage of resolution is the problem in? What requires to be done at this stage? Provoke thought and possibilities and jumpstart and kickstart the brain in a particular direction. That is what the opening question should do. Then comes the navigating question. Helps you to assess and adjust the course of the meeting while the discussion on the opening question is going on. See, questions you not necessarily ask yourself, you ask the question to others. In a project, when you ask the question to others, your opening question should be to understand the context and the options which are available. Don't think these are questions which you are only asking to yourself. No, you are asking others. And in the process, trying to overcome your automaticity, the anchoring, the expertise bias, and the contrast bias. Third is the examining questions. Examining questions challenge and focus in the details of the project. It helps to facilitate and define the project deeper by quantifying and qualifying it. Both in terms of quantity and quality, you are trying to qualify that project. That is examining question. Then you have got the experimenting question. Unlike examining questions, experimenting questions are more divergent in nature. It invokes the imagination and possibilities. Like I was telling Mr. Gopi during storyboarding, the various ways you can convey. Similarly, experimenting question talks about the various ways you can address the problem. I was telling you yesterday that have a target. At least I will find 10 solutions before I sit down to assess the solutions and evaluate them. Because the human mind is such that the first option it gets, it will go and stick to it. And then we come finally to the closing question. Closing question brings the project into a pragmatic and realistic state. These are crucial set of questions as it defines the action plan and the steps that you are going to take. Am I clear, friends? Opening question is the idea behind the context and the options. It is to provoke your thought to go in a particular direction. Navigating questions helps you to assess and adjust the course of the meeting with the people whom you are going to question. Examining question challenges the focus and details of whatever has been given to you. Experimenting questions ask questions so that you can get multiple course of action, and closing questions will help you to bring the project into a pragmatic and realistic close by finding out the crucial set of action plan that you need to take. Now we are going to go. Can you take a screenshot of this?
Arun sir, can you share an example of an opening question, like any case scenario?
Who is that?
I'm Pooja here, sir.
You are going to do that in this vote now.
Okay, got it.
Have you taken a screenshot?
Yes.
Now we are going to be doing a group activity. This is a 20-minute group activity. You are going to be giving me at least 2 questions for each of these questions: opening, navigating, examining, experimenting, and closing. I'm going to split the group into 2. 2 questions for each of these, that is 10 questions you are going to create. And then you are also going to tell me who all you are going to ask these questions and why. Is it clear?
Can you repeat, please? I had to go out just. Yes, sir. Okay, can you repeat, sir?
2 questions each for opening, navigating, examining, experimenting, and closing.
Okay.
And who all will you ask this and why?
Can I have
The breakout.
on the slide, sir, slide. I could not take the picture, sir.
The slide, he wants slide.
Slide.
Screenshot of this. Before that.
Okay.
Hold on. Yes.
Okay, sir.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm creating the rooms. Please. Please go to the rooms. Mr. Jigish, Mr. Mahesh, Mr. Vijay, please go to the rooms. Mr. Jigish. Mr. Jigish, please go to the room. Mr. Jigish, are you there?
Arun, I can put Jigish into the room. We can send him.
Send him. I think Mr. Jigish is not there behind the screen.
Arun, it looks like he is not there. The reason being that he is not being shown as not assigned. Only you are being shown. So I'm not able to see in the breakout room his name. He's there already. Oh, okay. He is there in the room 1. Arun, he is there in the room 1. I think right now he joined. Okay.
So we will start with room number 2. So what are the experience of room number 2? How did they feel about it?
We were navigating in and out.
How easy or how difficult was it?
I think it was difficult personally. I mean, going through those 5 layers, I mean, order by order, that point, that process is not understood well. I mean, conceptually, but in the practice, it was very difficult. Like, which are the opening questions, which are the how to navigate and how to run through that kind of a filter.
Thank you, Rajendra ji, for your frank assessment.
It was also a very generic scenario. So the problem itself was like looked huge to crack in 15 minutes time. Asking those
Because of lack of practice.
Yes, sir. Definitely.
It was
only because of lack of practice. Now, when you see the questions, you will realize how simple it is. You see, that's why the first slide yesterday, if you remember, life is simple, but it is not easy.
It was really challenging. Everybody in our group little confused. So we made a list of questions, never knew which where we should fit in that question.
Asking question is an art. And you will, by the end of this design thinking course, you will be a master in the art of asking questions, because that is the way we get to the answers. Anil ji, please understand one thing. Where is the idea of what you need present? Where is that idea of what you need present? Rajendra ji, tell me.
No, can you please repeat the question? Where is the
idea of what you need present?
In the subconscious?
In your mind. It is not with me.
Yeah.
My job is to find it out and give it to you. Anyone can solve the problem if the solution is known. There is no problem in this world which cannot be solved. But the question is, what is the problem? That's why Einstein said, if I have to solve a problem in 1 hour, I will spend 55 minutes understanding the problem. And at random, if you ask questions, what will happen is, it is like throwing a stone in a tree of, mango tree with only 1 mango in it. And you are throwing a stone at random. What is the chance of it going and hitting that mango? So you see, the questions have to be very, very, very directed and in a stepwise manner so that you can understand it beautifully. Now tell me, room number 2, what did you come up with?
I will share the list of questions that we all collectively started with. So first, to get our thoughts together, we came up with a scenario. And the scenario was that automobile manufacturer has come to us and he says, I want to improve the sales. And all of us started asking questions. So first of all, it went in the direction that what was the sales 3 months before this? And then the observation that in September, we were expecting it to pick up, it hasn't. How many cars did you sell? What are the which models have decreased, which are most effective? And then we also came to some questions like, how do you feel about the sales of cars going down? And Mr. Govind Swami, who was our customer, he said that I feel that people are not involved in traveling they're much less involved in traveling how they were. Then how are others suffering? Whether your competition is also seeing the same thing. How is the market doing? And some of the observations, yes, everybody is in the same boat. The fuel prices are also a cause for it to go down. And has the lockdown played any role in it? He says, yes, definitely. Then the other was, is the customer support robust? Have you laid off some salespeople? Then is the second-hand cars, what is the trend of second-hand cars? Is it any indicators for your sales? So interestingly, even the second-hand car sales had gone down. Then the experimenting, then looking at some of the things people are doing, like Volkswagen, they have a plan where you can buy now and pay later. So something like this is happening to pump up the sales. Is the luxury aspects of traveling restricted now? And also we try to get into the question, what is the job to be done? So it was in the domain of luxury, travel, commute, lifestyle, and a status symbol. And has work from home made a difference? Is it that the aspirations are contained and people are in survival mode, but then something contrary came up? Then in that case, public transport should have gone up. People would have looked at their safety and not gone in public transport. So the sales should have gone up. So this is something that was not adding up. Then who are the people who are now buying cars? And finally, we also asked him, what does he have in his mind when he wants to improve the sales of his cars? And that's all we did. Hello.
Can I come, please? Yeah, can I come?
I think we have lost Arun, sir.
No problem. Let us wait for it. Let us wait.
Yeah, beautiful.
Anybody
beautiful.
wants to put something?
Can I come, sir?
Sir, yes, but we are losing a lot of time, so we have to move in a bit fast. There is still a lot more to do today. Yeah.
Okay. Carry
Tell
on.
me, Anilji.
So I am not in this group, but I
No,
want
your
to add
group,
on.
when it comes, you tell. Let your group come first.
So in Delhi, 3 lakh cars are off the road because of the metro project has come of Sridhar. So this is what I want to add. Sale of car.
Thank you. Now, can we go to room number 1, please?
Yes, sir. So, sir, we prepared opening question, and so we created the scenario that that the customer wants a house. So we framed the questions around that. So opening question: what's the budget? What are the specification, and what amenities internal and external would the person want? So actually. Parallelly, Atul sir also contributed for this, opening question provoke the thought possibilities, jumpstart in direction where the brain needs to go, and what stage the resolution is, what could I do differently to get the solution, and what else is possible, how better can it get better than this, how to overcome the number context as an anchor to be overridden. Then navigating questions. Are you looking for an apartment or a group house or an individual house? Such kind of further going deep diving. And is the house for a commercial purpose or a residential purpose? And and which direction of the city would would that customer wants it, in the north, east, west, or south? So why opening question was asked? Atul sir contributed again. What context are we in now? Why are we currently stuck in this situation? And what are other competitors able to do better? Or are they stuck in similar situation, and how the competitors are addressing differently? Then examining questions, particularly any preference for the floor. If they have old people in the house, which one would be better? The lesser floor or a higher floor, something like that. And where do you want this house particularly? Should that require any garden view, river, etc.? And does the customer want any vastu compliance, and whether all the government regulations are cleared and approved, and any extra requirements. So challenging questions again, challenge the scope of work both in quantity and quality. Why are we looking at this number target only? Can we double or half it? At 2/3 resource, what could be done distinctly different from the current status quo, and what is stopping us from going ahead? What is the number in your mind, and how could I do contrarily? So this is what Atul sir contributed again. And experimenting questions, any intention of having a home-based office or something of different sort? any other intention of having a different amenity which normally will not have such kind of thing. So experiment questions like invoke imagination and possibilities, various ways to address the problem. What is the thing that can be changed, challenged? If we were working overseas, say 5 years later now, how would Mr. XYZ address this totally differently? We were to list 10 possible solutions by top 10 from different fields, expert, famous, and what solutions could emerge. Actually, we could not, as a team, come down to the closing question in the time, but Atul sir actually contributed again. So closing steps that I am going to take and pragmatically prioritize and act. What different resources, resource competence would I now add to proceed on the prioritized approach? Which option gives fast results with least effort and also breakthrough result with high effort? This was what it's done. I mean, only one point I want to add in the closing, like we will ask any question wherein the customer would like to take action on. So we will check that in the closing questions. So this
Sorry,
is.
sir, we could not align.
Yeah.
Sorry for this, sir.
Very good. Very good. This, I think, was a very, very good attempt. There is absolutely no doubt about it. Very good attempt. Considering the fact that ethnography is a full-fledged subject and interviewing user is a research paper, I think we are doing exceedingly well. This much I can tell you. It will only be a matter of time before you will master this again. Now, did you all discuss about who you will be asking these questions? Would anyone want to contribute in that?
Yes, sir. I mean, in group 1, we discussed whether these questions are from consultant to the middle party or vice versa.
Now, who will you be asking the questions? You are the consultant. Who will you be asking the questions?
To the customer.
Customer. Anybody else?
Prospective customer.
Huh?
Potential customer.
Potential customer. Anybody else? Okay. Let's see.
We missed the customer, the user, end user of our product, to ask to him.
Okay, good. Let us see who and what is the opening question. What is the problem we are trying to solve? Ask him. When an answer comes from him, ask him, how does this idea come about? Kindly elaborate on it. Let us identify the problem that we are trying to solve. Let us focus more on the problem rather than be in love with an idea. Let him see the need to look at the problem apathetically. What are we looking at? How is it that he is identifying this as a problem? What makes him look at it as a problem? Whatever the problem may be, as a design thinker, you don't have to take an industry and look at it. The first question should always be, what is the problem we are trying to solve? But what are we looking at? Is the problem a part of what we are seeing? Number 3, what kinds of things do we want to explore so that we can understand the problem? What are the things we need to investigate so that we can understand what the problem is? Finally, what are the problem areas in this problem? The problem itself could have certain problem areas. What are they? These can form a part of your opening question where you analyze the problem. An opening question should always be directed at understanding the problem, not what is being told as a problem. Like car sales have gone down. That is not the problem. Car sales has gone down in data. What is the problem? Car sales could have gone down because of insufficient raw material coming into the country. It could be because of financial situation. It could be because on an average, the number of cars which are sold has already been sold, and this month the number of cars sold is less because the earlier month it was sold more. It could be n number of reasons. So what is the problem? What are we trying to solve? From there we come to navigation question. Are we on the right track? Once you have opened the questions and the opening questions have been asked, is it not necessary for you to see whether you are on the right track? Is this useful? The insight that you have derived out of asking these questions, are they useful? When he comes up with a solution or an idea or an opinion, ask him how that came about. What made him think about it? Ensure that the people around are not fixated on one particular solution. Check whether you have understood correctly what is being conveyed to you. Did I understand this correctly? Repeat it back to him. Whoever you are questioning, repeat it back to him and find out whether they have understood you correctly. Find out if everyone is aligned on the same thing or whether any contrarian opinion is available in the group. Maybe the managing director of the company might look at that problem in a different way than the operations manager or the finance manager. Each one might be defining the problem in a different way. You might be looking at it in a different way. Your colleagues and team members might be looking at it in a different way. Are you all aligned? And finally, does anyone have any questions? Find out whether the people involved in it, they have any questions to ask about the problem as defined by the earlier activity. Encourage that, because then only the real truth will come out. Examining questions. How does it work? Supposing, say, you have got a solution, you have come up with an idea. So how does it work? How do you propose to put it into action? How much of it are we selling at the moment? Like you said, the car, if it is a sales per thing, how much are we selling at the moment? If it is a production unit, how much are we producing at the moment? Or if it is a service unit, how many customers are we servicing at the moment? What percentage increase in sales are we trying to achieve in 2 years? What increase in production are we trying to achieve? What increase in service are we trying to achieve? What is it that we want to do? Because your problem has a reference point. The reference point is the objective of the organization. It is only with that as a reference point will the problem be discussed. Imagine if a company has to produce only 100 units and the company is already producing 110 units, will anyone be looking at it as a problem? What if we did this using plan B? Drop the current plan that you have got, come up with an alternate plan and see what if we can achieve this. Will there be any objection to it? Will there be any problems in it? Will the problem still persist? Supposing a company is basically having a finance problem. You have a plan A to achieve something, you are unable to achieve it. and you have not yet identified their finance is the problem. You are trying to solve the problem as you think associated with plan A. When you ask the question, what if I dropped plan A and started using plan B? You will again still come up with a problem because the finance problem will still remain. So when you drop a particular problem and move on to a different problem and examine the possibility of implementing that, problems which are not yet articulated and are hidden and are the main reasons for it could come up. Third, can you give an example of this situation? There is a problem. Tell them to give an example of that situation without this situation being discussed. Once they give an example of a situation without this particular situation being discussed, then you will know where the problem could be happening. You know, as they say, you can't solve a problem with the same mindset that created it. So when you change the situation, the mindset changes. And then you are in a position to look at it differently. What happens after that? Let us assume that you have identified the problem and you think of a situation when the problem is not existing. If the problem had not been existing, what would have happened after this moment? What should have happened? How should the situation have looked? How should the situation have been? The before and after scene will tell you the gap where you have to focus. Are there factors and pressures, external and internal, that are causing this problem? Experimenting questions. What if we did this using the plan B? That earlier one, here again it appears as a very valid question that you forget it. Okay, so this thing we are doing is not working, we will leave it. Now, what if we use plan B? What will happen? What are the possibilities? Do a prospective analysis. What else could we use? Where else? What else could we use this for? How can we use this situation in some other condition? Can it be helpful in some other condition? For instance, let us say there is a finance constraint in an organization. The manufacturing of a product, a particular product, is becoming difficult because of raw material constraints, which are unable to procure because of financial constraints. How could you use this differently? Can any one of you give me an idea?
You can try manufacturing the component or the material in-house.
You can, outsource it. Take smaller quantities, smaller batch size, go in for a collaborative arrangement with another company who use your facility for their product and in turn finance you for your product. Or you can even go in for constraints management to come up with an innovative product with lesser amount of material. So think, what is it that you can do? How you can use this? What is missing over here in the entire problem that you are discussing? What aspect is missing? Is there anything missing which you are not seeing, due to which it appears as a problem? Or bringing it into it might ensure that the thing is gone? How could we handle if we're operating like a school? Now you are, as a manufacturer, you are thinking. Supposing you are a school or a hospital or an consultancy, how will you handle it? Think. Supposing you are Amazon.com, you Amazon, or you are Apple, or you are Microsoft, how will you handle this problem? What would they do? And then what if we are wrong? What if this is not a problem at all? Because everything need not be addressed. Some things left to itself will die away and become okay. What if we are wrong? These are experimenting questions, which when you ask, lot of insights will come out. With all these, you come to the closing question. How can we prioritize these ideas? How should we prioritize 1, 2, 3, 4, all these ideas? What are the action steps that are called for at the end of this? Who is going to do what? Delegate the work to the various people based upon the ideas that have been generated and the action steps that have been generated. What should we see in next 2 weeks? Create milestones so that you will be able to monitor progress. Which one will bring us forward? Which are the key result areas which will help the profluence, the movement forward of the project? And finally, what other skill sets are required? You have a team, they have certain skill set, some extra skill set is required. You need to know what is the skill set which is required and you'll have to access it. These are part of the closing questions. Now we come to who to ask these questions.
Arun sir, I have a clarification.
Yeah, please. Which one?
So this is right at the beginning, the first question itself. The opening question is the problem itself, how to disengage it from the data. For example, the one we picked up, the sales are dropping. So how do we extract it from data? The first one itself. In the opening, the first question itself.
This one, is it?
So what
This
is
is the one you are
problem
asking?
statement?
Sir, your
can't
screen
see
is
your
not
screen,
being
sir.
shared.
Huh? Screen is
The
shared.
opening question, I can't see the screen, sir. It is the opening question, the first thing itself, that
Just
we
a
are
minute,
all
you can't see
driven
the
by the
screen.
data.
Just a minute. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. This is
sir.
exactly the question. What is the
Yeah.
problem we are trying to solve? How to extract it from data? For example, the
No,
one that
no
we picked up
data
was the
is
sales
required
of
here.
automobiles.
Just a minute.
So
Supposing
I'm
let
just
us
saying,
say-
when somebody sells, the problem is, as we picked it up, the sales of automobiles is dropping.
Let us
So
not
what
go
could be
into
the
that.
probable problem?
See, very simple. Let us say Mr. Govindasamy has come to a company, to a consultant. Correct?
Right, sir.
So what is it that he has come with? He has come with a problem. The problem is dropping sales.
Yes.
What is the problem we are trying to solve here? Are we trying to solve the top line? Are we trying to solve the bottom line? Are we trying to
Got it.
solve
Or
the
the market
production
share or
capabilities? Just a minute. The sales dropping can be due to so many things. What is it that you are correctly trying to solve? That you have to understand now. Is he interested only in unit sales? He is not interested in top line, bottom line, or anything else? He has come because his sales is dropping. But has he thought what exactly is troubling him? Let us say, Mr. Govindasamy, you are there?
I am thinking whether future of auto industry is at stake.
All those are rhetorics. These are rhetorics. We are solving, see, supposing the future of auto industry is at stake, then your problem is not dropping sales. Your question will be to the design thinker, what is the future of the auto industry? Correct or not?
Yeah, correct.
So you see again, what problem you are trying to solve, that question has changed the viewpoint itself.
Yeah.
Are you understanding, Pooja?
Yeah.
Yes, I got it. The concern, the underlying, what is the concern, actual concern?
What
they're
is
saying
the
in
problem? What problem are you trying to solve?
Got it.
If you reduce it to only sales increase.
See, but dropping sales is a symptom. It is something which is explicitly visible.
Hmm.
It's
But
either
what does
top
the
line, bottom
implicit
line.
thing need? Supposing, let us say, he is not able to procure raw material to manufacture cars. Will his sales not drop?
That is one question. That is also there.
Then you see, will you go and talk about marketing and sales in this condition, or will you talk to purchase as to how they should, get the raw material? Which one will you talk about? Let us say there is a grid failure. For around 8 to 10 days, there is no electricity supply. The factory is not running, so a number of cars produced was less. Sales has dropped. Now, what is it you have to address?
Problem of electricity.
So there are so many. No, what is the problem we are trying to solve? This question is very important. That only will get you the real answer as to where you have to concentrate. Then comes,
Should
what
be
are we
very
looking
specific.
at?
Problem should be very specific, isn't it?
Yes, you should be very clear in your mind what problem you are addressing. Is it clear?
Yeah.
Yes, Arun.
Now let us come to whom to ask questions. Can any one of you tell me who we should ask these questions? Whom to ask these questions?
Everyone in the
The
ecosystem.
customer, like in the case that Christiansen did, his customer was the milkshake company, but he went to his customers to find out, like, why they would, what makes them purchase that milkshake. So, probably my guess is, like, the end user, the consumer, we should know the consumer views. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The answer always is with the end user. Whom to ask the question? Customers and end users are the first people you should talk to. There is no point in talking first to the person who has brought the problem to you. Identify the end user and go to him. That is where the real answer lies. Next, the stakeholders, all the stakeholders in it. Third, the management of the company which is running it. And fourth, the most important is the vendors who are supplying the raw material and services to them. Questions have to be asked of all the four. Let us see what are those questions. Customers and end users. How would you do this? This problem exists. How would you address it? Because you see, the problem exists because of whom? Tell me, who is creating this problem?
Because of the end user.
And only he knows what he wants now.
Yes, sir.
Correct or not? Supposing your watch is not selling. You have a gold-plated watch, it is not selling.
Yeah.
You go and ask the end user, look, this gold-plated watch is not selling. If you were to handle this problem, how would you do it? You'll say the gold plating is very dull and it is going away in 10 days. That's what happened with my watch. So if you can correct their gold plating and ensure it is long lasting, I think your watch will sell. Your answer has come or not?
Yeah.
You know what the solution is.
Correct, sir.
Do we do that? Go and ask the end user to solve the problem. This is what is called in design thinking, the last stage after testing, co-creation. This is called co-creation. When you create the solution along with the person for whom the solution is meant, because only he knows what the solution he wants. After prototyping the solution and testing it, you co-create with the customer. That is when you get a long-lasting solution. Tell me more about this. You ask him, what does he mean by telling he will do like this? Then he will come up with all the things that he wants done to the product or services. Everything he will tell you. And the third question is, what is your feeling about this? How do you feel? Because ultimately, as I was telling, we are all emotional beings who justify things with logic and reason. If he says, I will feel very good wearing this watch, if this were like this, you know you have got a winner. If he says, okay, chalta hai, but there are better products in the market, even if you do this, I really don't think it will make much of an impact. That means he's already sold on something else. He's holding back on some key needs which this watch is not fulfilling. Then you can ask him, what is it that the other product is giving you, which is absent here? Then the next need, inherent implicit need, will come out. Are you understanding what I'm telling? Suma, are you understanding?
Very much, sir. Very much, sir.
Pushpa?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I am.
Good. So let us move on to the next one. After customers and end users, we come to the stakeholders. Why stakeholders? Because they are your allies and partners in the project, and you do want to align by asking critical questions. If they are not aligned, they will not sponsor the project. Please understand that even the best of ideas require sponsors within the company. Then only it will be implemented. So stakeholders are very important. Never forget them. Rope them in as early as possible. What's in it for you? Ask them. If this problem were solved, how would it help you? What's your objective? With the solution in hand, what would you like to do? And what is your role in this? What role would you like to play in this so that you have an ownership for the solution? Once you have the board and the senior management on board, because you see, as I said, human beings have an agenda. Everyone has an agenda. Unless you align all the stakeholders' agenda in the direction of your solution, the solution will not get implemented. It will keep going round and round. You will get caught in the red tape, and ultimately you will spoil your name because you will not be able to give the solution that they want. So immediately after customers, what you need to talk to are the key decision makers, who are the stakeholders in this. Understand what's in it for them, why they want a solution. There could be n number of reasons why they want that solution. What is the objective that they are trying to fulfill? That is, what is their ultimate agenda, and what role they are going to play in ensuring that this solution is properly taken to its endpoint. Then you come to the management. The management is the one with whom you are going to work in implementing the solution. Where do you see this going? Do you really see it going to the culmination? Or do you see halfway through it is going to be dropped? Because they know the minds of the stakeholders much better than you or anyone else. You are a third party. You are just a consultant. Being a consultant, you will not know what the management really thinks, because the management is totally driven by what the board or the stakeholders think. Like they say, the man who has the gold makes the rule. That is the golden rule. And the man who has the gold is the stakeholder. And the management has to tow it. So ask them, where do you see this going? Many a time you will find here the answer, I don't think management will accept this. The management itself will say, I don't think the management will accept this. Have you people faced this answer?
Yes, sir. I faced, sir. I faced.
Huh? Have you faced this answer?
Yes, yes, sir.
What, Atulji?
Many times, so the plant head says the management has decided.
Huh?
Yes, the plant head at times says that management has decided.
So who is the management? The plant head is not the
Yes,
management.
so that's what I'm saying. So they have to be told that you are the management.
So you see, it is very, very, very important that you have the management, you ask the management, where do you see this going? They will tell you what will happen to it. Then you will know which stakeholder you have to approach. Next is, what are the problems? Now you see a different set of problem is coming. When they say where this is going, there is a different set of problem coming, and that could be the problem, not this. Many a time that happens. Third, what is considered as a success? Now, what really is going to define what is success? What is going to define what is the solution? You might define the solution as one thing, but is the management, are the stakeholders going to decide that that is the solution? So you need, at the very beginning itself, one of the main things in the design brief is, what is the sketch of the solution? What is the picture of the solution? How does the solution look? What is it? Then we come to, are there any time or budget constraints? This is very important. Are there any time and budget constraints? That brings us finally to one of the most important people in the value chain, without whom your solution cannot be implemented. Can you tell me who it is? You can't implement your solution without these people.
Vendors.
Suppliers, vendors.
Yes, vendors. They are the most important people in this. The question you ask, are you able to do it? Supposing I were to come up with a solution, are you in a position to do what I want you to do? Can you supply the material? Can you implement this? Next, forget, can it be done at all? Are you in a position to do it? And how could we work together to ensure that this thing is taken to the correct point? Any questions in this? Any questions?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Sir, I mean, being a consultant, this would work because the company or the management, pays to that consultant to bring out these kind of nuances. So being an part of the system, part of the ecosystem, how one can actually take the help of this design thinking to improvise or get the
again
results.
You see, this is what is called anchoring. Now you understood anchoring?
Yeah, yes, sir. I mean,
I
that's
think
where
from
I'm
the time I told that I have created a persona for a consultant, it has got anchored in your mind that this entire program is directed only towards consultant. You are mistaken, Srinivas. You are part of that persona. It is very much applicable to you as to anybody else. How this will not means how you cannot apply it in your company? Tell me.
No, sir. I mean,
No, you just tell me now. How? Who is your end user?
So my question is,
you are a senior product manager.
Yeah.
In a company conducting, selling diagnostic kits and procedures to cancer patients, right?
Correct, sir. Yeah.
Okay. Who is your end user?
End user is doctor.
No, the patient.
So patient actually only buys it. I mean, patient.
That is
patient
precisely
is
what I am telling. The end user is the patient. The
So,
doctor is a via media.
Yeah, patient do not understand the report. Patient do not understand the. I mean, patient do not have a requirement also until unless a doctor says that this is required. So, I mean, this is unlikely to, in general diagnostic segment. I mean, so that's the thin line difference.
Okay, so
And-
your end user is the doctor, the cancer
yeah.
specialist, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so you have to conduct your discussions with him. You have to ask all the questions with him.
Yes, yes.
Certain things come out of it.
Correct, sir.
Now you have to go and implement that. Who will you talk to first?
Yes, sir. I mean, stakeholders, management. Of course,
Stakeholders are the main people because it requires a totally different viewpoint of how you are going to be doing things. If you go and talk to your immediate superior, the marketing manager, what will he say? He will say, Srinivas, this cannot be done. You know our company policy. He will tell that or not? Correct
Yes.
or not? Tell me.
Yeah.
Then what is the use of talking to him? He will shoot it down. And once that happens, it is anchored in his mind that this cannot be done. Then when you take it above him, what will he say? I told you this can't be done. You have superseded me and gone there.
Yeah.
It will now get further vitiated. That is why after the customer comes the stakeholder. I know it might look very difficult. That means you are superseding your boss. No, you are not superseding your boss. That is where the way you do it will depend.
I'm asking the way, sir. I'm asking the way. I completely buy in with these points. I'm asking that way. So
okay, go and tell him. Go and tell your stakeholders. You know, there are moments when you are with the stakeholder without your boss and other management people. Are there not?
Yes, sir.
You can just tell it as an experience. That is where storytelling and visualization comes. Tell him, you know, yesterday I was there with the doctor. This is what he was telling. If we could do like this, it would be very nice. What is your personal feeling, opinion about it? Would you like to talk to that doctor? Tell a story. Visualize and paint that picture and show it to him. Get his buy-in. Then before going, just put a word to him, sir, what I will do is I will talk to my boss and then I will ask him also to talk to you. Now what you have done, you have linked all the three together.
Yeah.
Now you see, next is all those supply people. You have got these courier people who are getting the, strains and other things, all the tissues, cultures and other things they are transporting. Talk to them whether they can do what you want them to do.
Yeah. Stakeholder alignment can be done because we have
stakeholder.
departments.
Once you have done
That's not
all
the
these things, you are in a position to implement your plan. Are you understanding what I am telling?
Yes, sir. Got it. I think it's a. Got it, sir. Thank you.
See, I told you now, in design thinking, right in the beginning, what did we see? User first. Don't be tied down by red tape. Be ready to oppose your boss. We have seen that or not?
Yes.
Then
no. It's an. I think not an appropriate question. I mean, I have to figure that. But
see, it can be done. I'll tell you one thing.
Yeah.
Your intention is not to pull down your boss.
Yeah.
But you know the situation in your company better than anybody else. You know what type of a boss you have, how he will respond. You know how he will respond. If he is going to be very favorably responsive to you, go to him, talk to him first, and both of you approach the stakeholders. If he is a person who doesn't want to take a risk, who wants to work within the confines of his comfort zone, bypass him, find a situation and a condition when you can talk to the stakeholders, then pull your boss in. See, you have to be diplomatic.
Yeah.
You can't rise up in your career by saying, I will do things only this way. You have to be flexible. You have to take risks. You have to step out of your comfort zone and you have to kick a few butts. Nothing can be done.
Yes, sir.
Any questions? It's 1:30 now.
No, sir.
1:20. So we will stop here for the day. We will meet again next Saturday evening. If there is any question, tell me.
can you please share the last slide? Just one slide. Last. What is the difference between are you able to do it and can it be done?
Are you able to do it means, do you have the expertise to do it? If you have the expertise to do it, are situations and conditions favorable to do it now?
Okay, thank you.
So Pushpa here, why don't you give us an assignment?
The best assignment would be to understand
Yeah.
all these things, because in the next day we are going to start with design brief. What I will do is, I don't know how comfortable are you people with this ethnography questioning thing, because this is a very, very important thing. How comfortable are you?
We are fine.
Do you people think you will be able to handle it?
Practice
We need
will
more
be-
practice.
Huh?
We need practice, sir.
You need a lot of practice, because you see, this questioning thing will not come in that easily. You will have to work at it tremendously. See, questioning has got two major advantages to it. Can any one of you tell me what it is?
Our thinking ability is increased.
It gives us more information into the problem.
Yes, number one, it helps you with information. Number two is a very, 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 very powerful technique to move people in a particular direction.
Make them think.
Make you think. You can change the direction of a person's thinking by asking questions. This is one of the most powerful tools for implicit learning. The moment you ask a question, you trigger a response in the mind, which can totally, take the person in a different direction. So you see, learning how to think coherently, learning how to question very coherently is a very, very important expertise that we have to develop. And questions should be sequential in nature. Asking at random the same question will not give you the type of result which asking sequentially will give you. Yes, Rajendra ji, you wanted to say something?
Any case studies can be shared? Any case studies?
On questioning?
On questioning.
See, case studies on questioning cannot be shared because there are no case studies like that, but there are a number of case studies on design thinking, which we will be seeing in due course. We have now completed ethnography. From the next class, we will be seeing how to write a design brief, how to create a persona, then how to chart a customer journey, what is an opportunity map, how to work through an opportunity map, what is a context map, how to work through a context map, what is creating a hook, and how do you, do a napkin pitch, what is ideation, how you have to do ideation, what are the pitfalls of brainstorming, how to overcome all those. We will be doing all these things from next class onwards. Maybe 2 at a time we will be doing, because they are all quite very interesting processes, but they are time-consuming process. Because you see, for instance, in a customer journey, if I were to tell you to create a customer journey in 15 minutes or 20 minutes, you will not be able to do it. You will require minimum 30 to 45 minutes, minimum. So you see, in a day, maybe we will be able to do 2 of them. That's why I said, maybe, we might not be able to complete it in 4 days. We will see.
Okay.
But the whole idea is, you should be absolutely thorough with all these things by the end of this course.
Okay, thank you.
Will any of you have any inconvenience if it is extended, the course time?
No, sir.
No.
No, we have to finish this course, sir. We have to do customer co-creation. We have to master at customer co-creation. We have to complete this course.
Yeah, you will be, see, you will find it very interesting as it moves forward. You see, till now we are talking about concepts, and now we are, from next time onwards, we are going to be entering into how to write a design brief. What do you do immediately after it? Okay, let us do one thing. She wanted a, what do you call it? Homework. A design brief consists of the design challenge statement. What is the challenge in front of you? So a problem has come to you. You have to write a design brief, the total thing about the problem you are writing. From the first sentence of what you see the problem as to the solution that you envisage. What do you do immediately after that? Think about it and come. Yes, Atulji, you wanted to say something?
No, sir. It's okay.
So what do you do immediately after writing a design brief? Should we break for the day?
Okay, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, dear.
Thank you, Arun, sir.
Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot.